Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video of the paid request. It's time for Eric. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Links are in the info box either down there or over there. Again, it could be for pretty much any type of video. And this is for G.I. Joe Resolute from 2009. So I did not know much of what this was. And this was completely under the radar for me. So I guess back in this time when that first live action G.I. Joe film was coming out, The Rise of Cobra, I guess somebody else thought, well, since they're doing that, let's do something big here. But it's going to be for Adult Swim, part of that block of animation, which, there could be a little bit more adult themes, and, hence the title. Yeah, you had Robot Chicken, you had all sorts of other shows during that time slot. So we're going to have 10 5-minute episodes and then a 10-minute finale. But on YouTube, it was all put together, and it's about an hour, maybe a little bit less. And it's a G.I. Joe movie that is a bit darker. It's a bit darker, it's a bit more serious. There's people that die. There's blood. Now, granted, not a lot of blood. It's not like an ultra-violent. But there's a little bit. Just, I think of the G.I. Joe cartoon. No one died. It's just they shoot the vehicle and they escape. Or they parachute out. No, there are people that die. There are characters that die. And it's too bad it was a one-off. And it's too bad that it was done in this 5-minute episode. Again, for 10 of them, because even though it was all put together, I could kind of tell when the episode, like that 5-minute block or so, ends. These little sections. Because I do wish it was a full-fledged film, maybe 90 minutes, so you could get a little bit more of the characters, a little bit more flourish with the characters, a little bit more breathing room for them, a little bit more of a setup. Some of the action scenes could be a little bit more, have a bit more choreography to them, or a little bit more happening, which I'll get to in the third act. And maybe push the rating even a bit further at times. Just a little bit further. But overall, I liked it. This was an interesting thing to see. I say it was interesting to see a more serious take on G.I. Joe. I mean, the very first bit was one of the villains, Major Blood, being found dead, stabbed to death, blood coming out at the Lincoln Memorial. And people would look over the dead body and wondering what's going on here. And then soon after, one of G.I. Joe's carriers, the USS Flag, is blown up. Not entirely, but enough to, cause a bit of damage. And they're trying to figure out who the saboteur is. And the guy who was supposed to be on duty is Bazooka, but he's been killed by Storm Shadow. Because they have the autopsy. Never thought I would think of G.I. Joe having an autopsy. But, nothing cut up, but like there's something in his mouth. They pull out this note, and it's a note for Snake Eyes, where Storm Shadow says, "Meet up here." And so then our Joes are separated into different little stories they go through until it culminates at the end. And Cobra Commander is a more serious threat. That was nice to see that. He's a bit more menacing. He's not as much of a joke. He's taken fairly serious because he still has a little bit of that type of voice from the original G.I. Joe cartoon. Like a little bit. But his actions where he says, listen, I have this particle cannon. And in 24 hours I want you, the UN, to give me control. But you probably don't believe me, so I'll do a test and blows up Moscow and kills 10 million people. There's even a bit later on where he kills one of his own men. So I like that the villain, Cobra Commander, is, like I said, a bit more of a threat a bit more intimidating, a bit more, not as much of a clown. That was nice to see. I think there's a bit where he's even talking to his men, and he's like, "There'll be none of your crap." I just pretty much saying how much these guys have failed him. There'll be no more of your crap. And they pretty much, now that they figure out what Cobra Commander's doing, they figure out it's this particle cannon. So the teams are separated. You have they get more into spoilers. So I'll do more into spoilers now, but if any of this sounds somewhat intriguing, it is on YouTube for free. It's like 58 minutes long. The animation remind me a little bit of, I don't want to say, I almost want to say anime, but it more of a, but not. I don't know how to describe it. It's that type of animation where it's not exactly like the old show, but like certain color schemes, it just reminds me of certain American productions that had a bit of an anime influence. I don't know how else to word it though, because I'm not that great in describing animation techniques. But it wasn't too bad, it wasn't too shabby. Snake Eyes definitely has some good moments, some badass moments. Duke is your lead here. Scarlet has moments to shine. You do have bits from Roadblock, Gun Ho, Sally, no Sergeant Slaughter. Although I don't know if he'd fit in this serious take on it, but I love Sergeant Slaughter. My favorite part of G.I. Joe the movie. And the music was fine, but not nearly as epic as in G.I. Joe the movie. Just, if you watch that movie, you just listen to the opening theme when they're on the Statue of Liberty and that big battle. Just epic. So the music is there, but a step down from the music in the old movie. But like again, it's more serious take. Went at a pretty good pace. Again, it's less than an hour. Some fun, some nice moments to shine. Definitely worth a look if you're at all interested in G.I. Joe. But let me get more into spoilers. Like I said, the people are separated. You got Tunnel Rat, which I remember from G.I. Joe the movie. Which, that's what made me think of the movie. He's got to go with a group to go into space to get to one of these orbiting satellites and mess with it. Which there's not a whole lot to it. Like, they do it, but there's not a whole lot of, like, action, fighting, danger involved. At least nothing suspense-wise. Pretty much they're there, and then they do it, and that's it. Duke and Scarlet have to go over to one area. And how do I put it? They did some action scenes firing at some soldiers, you know, trying to find information. Just one is trying to get to the weapon array to mess with the particle beam. And then Roadblock, Gunho, and a few others are trying to get to this place where Destro and Baroness are at. And they need to rescue some scientists and rescue some people. So that, again, they're all separated. And yeah, it was nice to see action where there are consequences. There are people that get killed. It's not just they fly away in a parachute or anything. I thought the best parts were Snake Eye's story, where you see a flashback of when him and Storm Shadow were being trained by the Master. And the Master has this move about the 7 steps of the sun, and Storm Shadow wants to learn it. And the Master says, "You're not ready." One that leads to another, he has kind of his hand up. The guy gets a damn sniper bullet to the head. Again, not gory, you see it from the side. But still, you know, violent enough for this type of thing. Snake Eyes tries to help, he's wounded. He gets the hell out of there. Vows revenge. before he fights Storm Shadow, there's these guards there, and I like the way he takes them out. Especially this one bit where there's a guy hanging there, and the soldiers are wondering what the hell's going on. When the guy drops, they're like, "Where's his grenade belt?" So then the grenade belt falls, and it blows pretty much them all up. And Snake Guy's ready to slice people. They're not entirely gory, but there's a little blood here and there. I do like the fight with him and Storm Shadow. That definitely has an anime influence. And I said Snake Eyes has some badass moments. My favorite bit is when Storm Shadow's with the sword, Snake Eyes has his hand up, and the sword goes through the hand, but then Snake Eyes grabs it, breaks the sword, hits Storm Shadow, and then pulls the blade out. I'm like, okay, without any sounds, any words, that's pretty badass. That's pretty badass. Granted, I'm thinking, why don't you try to catch it instead of letting yourself get stabbed, but that's still a pretty badass move, too. That's like a 10 Tesco move. Big ball move. It was cool to see Roadblock and Gung-Ho, but again, you don't really get a sense of them as characters, so there's really no time for them to banter or really talk. It's pretty much they're there. And this is what I'm talking about earlier, where I wish this was a longer movie, maybe a bit bigger of a budget. And if there was a bit bigger of a budget and more time to breathe, there'd be more choreography with the action. Because the way Gung-Ho roadblocking them get into the compound, pretty much the soldiers see some other vehicles getting blown up. Then one of the Joes are behind them, and he's like, "Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch-ch." Now you don't see anything on the other side, like people getting blown to shreds, but you get the idea. And then Roadblock and Gung-Ho are being fired on, and the "Give me your gun." They switch guns. Someone sneaks in, gets the hostages out of this door on the floor. This, while Destro and Baroness are occupied. And that is Roadblock, who comes and fires a headshot to Destro that bounces him off and knocks him back. Until obviously they go up and arrest them. Like I said, that bit I wish there was a bit more in terms of like fisticuffs, Gung-Ho fighting, punching people, kicking people. Like I said, a bit more choreography, a bit more stuff going on in the action, if that makes sense. With Duke and Starlight, they have a bit more. They have a bit more to do. They have a bit more in their choreography. There's this nice bit where they're together and the camera's circling around as they're shooting the soldiers. Starlight's shooting with two guns, flipping around as if she's Terry Moss from The Matrix. Duke is holding his own. Duke even kills Zartan to save Starlight. Flint comes in, but he doesn't have a whole lot to do. Snake Eyes comes in, has a great moment where he like slashes one guy in the face and then slashes the others and then salutes, and Duke's like, "Good to see you back." And then pretty much they get to Cobra Commander. Cobra locks himself in. Duke changes the code so the bombs don't land where they're at. Cobra's trying to get out of his little pod. Everyone escapes. Text goes, we try to see Cobra Commander's pod, and there's nobody in there. So somehow he escaped. And then it just ends. And that's what I mean. Like, it felt, I don't want to say it felt rushed, but it, like I say, I do wish there's just a full-blown film, 90 minutes, so things could breathe. So things could flow a bit better. So if it's a direct-to-video film instead of just something for Adult Swim, we could push the Dark Knight Returns, the Batman one, the direct-to-video film, which I mean that had more time, even had 2 parts. I'm not saying it needs to be that long, but even the first part I think was longer than this, and so it just more room to breathe. I do wish that was what they took, that approach. Like I said, it was a nice curiosity piece to see G.I. Joe done with a darker tone. And it shows you can do it. Now, obviously, this... I say obviously, but I'm guessing this is just a one-time deal. Because again, they kill Zartan, they kill Major Blood. I read that Storm Shadow, like, Snake Eyes kills him and buries him, but then Storm Shadow's grave, there's nothing in it, but maybe I missed it, but the version I saw, I didn't see that part. Now, maybe I missed it, and that's my mistake, but that's what I read up somewhere. Maybe if it was a big enough hit, they would have done a sequel. I don't know. I don't know how it did in terms of ratings. And I'd be curious for the Adult Swim thing. What was it that this whole 5-minute per episode thing? Like, why was that a case? I know there have been Adult Swim episodes of shows that are very short, like Robot Chicken. A lot of shows of Robot Chicken is very short. And maybe they think, well, it's shorter for shorter attention spans, or shorter because they give it a little bit of taste. We have all this other stuff going in, and then throughout the night I don't know what the details were, but I would like to know the extensive details of purposely making each part just 5 minutes or so. Again, I think it would have worked better as just a full-blown movie. But I will say I had more fun with this than G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, or the one with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. So I'll say that. I mean, G.I. Joe the movie, it's hard to beat that. But on the flip side, I mean, this was more about, Dude, Starlight, the Joe's work, and that one that kind of pushes aside for Don Johnson. But yet, you had Sergeant Slaughter. I actually didn't mind some of the other recruits as well. So, again, that was one of those weird things where the Joes were not in it as much, except that awesome opening. And there's a lot of these new characters. And it's like, well, we want to see the old characters. But keep Sergeant Slaughter. But yeah, I like that more because of Sergeant Slaughter. This is for Duke. This is for me. I love the Sergeant in that. I love him in that. I don't even mind Don Johnson in that movie. I like that movie better than Transformers the movie, which I always thought was overrated. Good score, but I always thought that film was overrated. But and again, that's just me. That's another story. But overall, G.I. Joe Resolute, liked it. Too bad that we're not more. Too bad it wasn't longer, and like I said, more of a movie than just these 5-minute episodes, in this case, put together. Like I said, it was great to see something a bit different and new, and hell, I mean, I would love to see Ninja Turtles get this treatment, and other stuff. I would love to see that. That'd be cool to see. And I appreciate them taking that risk and chance and saying, yeah, why not? Dude, go for it. That was refreshing. That was refreshing. So that gives a thumbs up from me. So with that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.